March 8, 1965. The question hangs in the air like jungle fog before dawn. What kind of horror do you endure when you are unarmed, unseen, and still expected to keep an entire war alive? Because while history remembers the firefights and the famous generals, Vietnam was also fought by men whose weapons were bulldozers, slide rules, fuel hoses, medical bags, and sheer nerve. Engineers and logisticians who stepped onto red clay and rotting planks, knowing that if they failed, battalions would starve, helicopters would fall silent, and wounded boys would bleed out alone, and from the first Marine landings at Da Nang. These silent heroes went to work carving roads through triple-canopy jungle, where sunlight barely touched the ground, battling monsoon rains that turned soil into sucking mud capable of swallowing trucks whole, laying steel matting under fire as Viet Cong mortar walked closer with every explosion. One blast tearing through an engineer squad in 1966 near Khe Sanh when a hidden mine detonated beneath a grater, scattering twisted metal and bodies into the trees. Yet the road had to be finished before nightfall, because a convoy carrying plasma and ammunition was already rolling. Logisticians calculating supply routes, knowing every bridge they crossed had likely been wired to explode, every river bend watched by unseen eyes. And when Route 19 through the An Khe Pass became a killing zone, it was logistics officers who rerouted, reorganized, and pushed through anyway, sometimes riding shotgun themselves, witnessing trucks erupt into fireballs when hit by recoilless rifles. The screams of drivers burned alive mixing with the rain, horror that never made headlines. Engineers rebuilding airstrips at Khe Sanh under constant artillery in early 1968, filling craters faster than they were made so medevac helicopters could land, each landing a gamble against incoming rounds. And in those moments, heroism was not charging a hill but kneeling in the mud with hands shaking, reconnecting a ruptured fuel line while blood soaked your fatigues from a shrapnel wound you could not afford to treat yet. Logisticians flying into forward fire bases with cargo doors open, pushing pallets of food, ammo, and body bags into chaos, sometimes landing only long enough to unload before lifting off again as rockets slammed into the perimeter. And there were classified missions too. Supply drops into denied areas along the Ho Chi Minh Trail where engineers worked at night, guided by red-filtered lights, constructing temporary landing zones that would be erased by dawn. Men vanishing into the jungle for weeks, emerging hollow-eyed and silent, haunted by ambushes where they watched friends dragged screaming into the darkness, never recovered. The war's horror etched deepest in those who built and sustained rather than fought, because they saw everything, the wounded piling up when a resupply was delayed by weather, the desperation of units cut off, the smell of decay clinging to supply depots during the Tet Offensive when chaos ruled and logisticians worked 72 hours straight as Saigon burned, saving countless lives simply by making sure morphine, bandages, and blood arrived in time. Engineers clearing minefields by hand when machines failed, probing inch by inch knowing one mistake meant instant death. And still they advanced, driven by duty to men they might never meet. And when the war dragged on and public opinion turned, these heroes remained invisible. Their victories measured not in territory gained, but in lives sustained. Bridges standing, roads passable, and airfields usable. And even as the last U.S. forces withdrew in 1973, their legacy remained buried in jungle scars and silent graves. So ask yourself now, as you hear the echoes of chainsaws, engines, and distant screams, who truly won the battles that history barely whispers about? And would you have had the courage to face that kind of horror, knowing no one might ever remember your name?